All right, awesome. Well, again, good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm Kyle. I'm the Systems and Technical Services Librarian at the California Health Sciences University, and this is PowerPoint 101, right? So we're going to take a pretty basic look at PowerPoint, right? Like what to do when you first create a PowerPoint like that. We'll build on it a little bit. Hopefully, in other sessions, we'll get further into styling and design and stuff like that. But just having that basic knowledge, right? That foundational knowledge what PowerPoint is, how to use it, how to create slides, I think will be incredibly important and hopefully useful for everybody. So I'm going to switch over here. So when you first create a PowerPoint, oh, and I just wanted to make a note too. I'm using the desktop version of PowerPoint. I know that there's like the Teams version you can use. There's the 365 version in the browser, and they all have very similar functionality, right? The desktop version of Office products usually is more robust, a little bit more stable too. So just to note, I am using the desktop version, and it's the current version too. But when you first create a PowerPoint, this is what you'll see, right? But if we go up here to File, I just want to show you a couple of other things. So it'll default to this blank presentation, and that's totally fine. You know, you can start creating from there. But there are a ton of pre-built presentations that you should look at first when you're first creating something, right? And chances are you're going to find something that fits what you need, right? And these have pre-built slides, they have pre-built themes, all that stuff. It really takes the headache out of what you're doing. Um, so I would really highly suggest you start by looking here. Okay. If you come down here a little bit, you see all my recent presentations will be here just for quick access. There's a tab here for shared with me too. So if you've lost something and can't find it and it was shared with you, chances are you'll be able to find it here. You can even expand that a little bit. And then this pin tab here. So if you have one that you use really, really often, right? You can click that little pin right there. So let's just go down here to click that one. And then you can go to your pin tab and it'll always be there. Again, you know, it just makes it quick access for you. And if you lose something, but it's pinned, you'll always be able to find it here. Okay. So we're going to go to the snippets anatomy. So if I want to open this one, I'll click on it. And here we are. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about, again, this is kind of a basic thing across all Office products. It's really good to know where my mouse cursor is up here at the very top. This whole thing up here, this is called the ribbon. Okay. So if you hear anybody refer to a ribbon or me, we're talking about this up here. Within the ribbon, we have all these different tabs, right? So we have the Home tab, Insert, Design, Transitions, and so on and so forth. And then within each tab, we have groups. Okay, so this is the clipboard group, this is the slides group, and this is the font group. It's just the basic structure of the ribbon, right? This is your navigation. And again, this is pretty similar in Word and Excel and all those different types. One important thing up here in the top left too, if you see autosave, make sure that you turn this on or have this on anytime. As soon as you turn it on, you'll just select your file location and it's just constantly saving it, right? So in case something happens and it gets shut off, it closes, whatever, you know, at least you know that you have the most current record. So very, very important to always check this autosave up here. Coming down here to the left here, we have this navigation slash preview pane over here of all the slides that we may have built already. And clicking on one, you see that this main window changes, right? So this is how you can interact with your slides. You can change font, you can do all sorts of stuff that we'll get into in a little bit here. But this is kind of the basic navigation while you're in this view mode. And if you want to add something, there's a couple of different ways. Okay, so we can right click over here and you can go to new slide and it'll produce one. You can also right click and hit delete slide and it'll go away. If you come up here though, you see this new slide button is on the home tab and it's actually on the insert tab as well. There's just a bunch of different ways. I'm gonna stop my video for this little lag for me. Okay. So you can also grab these, you know, and move them around. Pretty easy to reorganize it. But going back to just creating slides, basic. So up here, if you see this little tab right here on the home tab, there's a little drop down menu. So if you open that, you have these different formats for the slides, right? And you see title slide, title and content. And if we click on one, we can see it's just predefined for you to just add a title straight away. You can add text here, but you can also add one of these elements, just insert a table right away, any kind of images, video, that kind of stuff. So you can totally do this yourself. If you come up to this insert tab, you can see there's pictures here, there's table here, forms, text box, all that kind of stuff. It's just very nice to already have these pre-built in these, and each theme will kind of style these differently too, but that's just one of the options here. One feature that's really cool now is if you right click here, we have this reuse slides button, and it's also up on these bars too. But if we click reuse slides, if you have a past presentation or you grab someone else's presentation and there's a slide or two that you really like, but you don't want to have to recreate somehow, you can use reuse slide and come here, browse for it. So I'll go up and find a presentation here. Go to the skeleton slide, we'll choose the content, and then this would, if there were multiple slides, there's only one slide in this one. If there were multiple slides, it would show you a list of all of them, and then you can just hit insert slide, and it's in your presentation now. So it's just a really nice way of inserting all those. If you come down to this bottom right corner down here, there's this slide zoom. So pretty straightforward. You go left, it goes out, right goes in. Again, if you're working on something a little more detailed, you can zoom in, get it lined up correctly, all that kind of stuff. So that's available down there. Moving left here, the slideshow button. If I click this, it'll go into the slideshow, which again, we'll do in a little bit here, but just know that it's there. We have a reading view, and we have one view down here called slide sorter. That's really neat. So again, if I wanted this slide to be at the very bottom, over here I could take it and drag it and all that. But if I had like 50 slides here, that might take a while, very inefficient. But coming back down here to the slide sorter view, if you click on that, you just get a very nice clean view of all your slides together, and then it becomes very easy to drag it to the end. Okay. And then to go back to that normal view, down here, there's on the left there, we have that normal view button. And again, an Office product, there's multiple ways to do everything. So coming up to the ribbon, if you go to the view tab up here, you can do the same thing. So we have the slide sorter view. We have a couple of extra views too, but we're just going back to normal to make it easy. So with our PowerPoints here, right now we have a blank theme, obviously. So everything's just pretty basic here. If you want to apply a theme though, go up here to the ribbon again and to this design tab. And we have all these pre-built themes. And if you kind of hover your mouse over, it'll show you a little preview of what they'll look like. And again, there's a ton available to you, right? You can add these, find them online all over the place. But one thing I know, being in academia, being in organizations and medical organizations, most of us have kind of a pre-built template that our institution or organization uses. And if you started creating this PowerPoint and it's blank and you think, oh no, I need to go put it on my organization's template, I have to recreate everything on there. You don't, okay? You can actually apply that theme directly to this and completely change it. So we're gonna go again to this design tab. We'll open this little drop-down menu here, and then we'll go to browse for themes. And then all you have to do is find a PowerPoint that already has that theme, right? So if I go to here, so I have this CHSU, which is my organization PowerPoint template. We can hit apply, and we'll wait a second, and then it puts it into that theme, right? So if we go back home here, and again, drop down that little menu there, you can see now all those formats are built in that CHSU template, right? So again, I didn't have to transfer anything over like I've seen before. You can just apply this type of theme. So with that, if we right click on this, right? Okay, so say this is my main slide here, and I want this to be a title slide. And right now I just have it as a blank slide. Again, you don't have to recreate it or anything like that. If you right click on this and go to layout, you can transfer these over. So we'll click on title slide, and then it does a pretty good job normally of matching it up, right? To the, the letter or the wording already on here. I might want this down here, so it's pretty easy. I can just highlight this, can go up here to cut, and then click into this box, and I'll paste it in there. And then if I want to add a date, of course I can type it out, but you can also come up here to the ribbon into the insert tab and go to date and time, and then choose your format real quick there, just to make it look super clean. And then if you wanted to add a subtitle, you can click into that box and write whatever you want there. All right, cool. So again, moving along here, one thing I want to show, if we come up to the ribbon again and go to this view tab, there's this element called slide master. And I think it's a good idea to have kind of an idea of what the slide master is. Basically what it does, it controls the styling. I mean, this is how the templates are built, right? So it controls the styling for the entire presentation. So if we come down here and mouse over this, you see that little tooltip that pops up. It says text or image only layout. This one says title slide layout. This is a title and content layout. Okay, so those actually match up to these different. So that's a title slide, text or image only, title and content. Okay, so we can actually change how those are styled overall, right? Just inherently. So we'll come up to the text or image only, and let's say we want this title to be uh, italicized, underlined, and let's go orange. Okay. So then we'll go to the slide master and hit close view. And then if I come over here and add one of those, I think I changed that. You can already see it's already styled like that. So anything I type in there for that format will always be this format, right? So this is also good to add like watermarks, and adding the CHSU up here that you can't click on. If you add it to the title slide, or the version of the title slide, it'll always be there every time you create one, right? So again, you can style these however you want and make it very uniform throughout your presentation, right? So let's go. And then over here, you can close the master view. Let's go back to this. On this main page here, so when you actually start adding content to these, down here at the bottom, you can click here to add notes, and you can actually turn those on and off if you don't want it on. But of course, notes are great, right? When you're creating slides and you're trying to figure out why you did, or if you have some lecture notes on there that you want to put in there. Let's just add something real quick. So you can add quite a bit to these. And then when we get into the presenter view, you'll actually be able to see your notes. We'll do that in just a few minutes too. But this can be, very useful, especially when you're building out something like a lecture. So going back to adding content, again, I can click in and I can type here, but we can also add images, and you can click down here to add a picture, stock image, that kind of stuff. But again, you can go up to inserts and click on picture. And they give you a few different options here. So this device is from your computer. They have a huge stock image catalog, and then you can go and search for pictures online too. So I'm going to add one for my device, and we'll see what we have here. So pictures. All right, so then I'm going to click on one and hit insert. And if you notice, there are these white dots around the picture, around the image here. If I grab one of those, you can resize it. So just drag it around. I can left click hold and I can move it around like that. But then if you notice up here on the ribbon, we have this new tab here called picture format. So if I click out of that picture, it goes away. If I click on it, it comes up. And this is just a whole host of options. Zoom thing got my way. There we go. This is just a whole host of options to alter your picture, edit it, make it look, much better than just this box here. You can go to these predefined frames here and give it, some kind of perspective if you want. Just all sorts of neat little tricks there to spruce up the images, right? And here, I'll add one more just to show that again. Let's do a stock image this time. So again, they have a huge, huge library of stuff that you can use now. Let's just see what's in anatomy. Perfect. We'll just insert that one and we'll download it. See, it's a huge image, so we're going to scale that down quite a bit. Put it over there, and let's add kind of like a circle frame to it. Cool. So it already looks a lot better. And if you take this image and put it over that one, you see that this one is on top of this one. So again, that's very easy to change. If you go up to this picture format, we have these buttons up here called bring forward, backward, right? You can send it all the way back. If you have 3 images, you could put one in the middle. So we'll send it to the back there, very easy. And then we can bring it back forward here, so it's on top. But again, there's just a lot of little tiny things like that that you can manipulate in this picture format. Let's go on here to some of the most basic things that we've all seen with PowerPoint, animations and slide transitions. So we can start with the animations first here. So I have this little bullet list here, and let's say I want this to be, the slide pops up, none of these are displayed, and then I talk about each one and have them pop up, right? That, like I said, that pretty basic PowerPoint thing. So the way to do that, we want to highlight the first one, and we'll come over up here to the ribbon again and go to this animations tab. And now we have all these options to actually animate this text. So this first one here, we see entrance, and it's very logical what it means. It means that when you press a key, something is going to enter, right? We have emphasis tabs or emphasis elements here. So basically the text will already be on the screen and it emphasizes it somehow. And then we have exit too, right? So you can actually have text exit the screen too. And then motion paths we're not really going to get into. So let's make all of these just as a basic entrance. So I'll highlight this and hit appear on all of these separately. Do that. And we'll do last one is foot. So every time I added one of these animations, you see it added a number here, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the best way to get a clear view about this, if you come up here to the ribbon and hit the animation pane, so this will give you a whole scroll of all your animations for the slide. And then it's just much easier to actually visualize, right? So I have that as number 1, 2, 3, 4. I can take foot and put it up above, right? And if you see the numbers update over here, so now that's the new order, okay? If I click on this little drop down next to it, all of them default to start on click. So when the slide is up and you hit the space bar, click your mouse button or pointer, that's what's triggering it to come on screen, right? But you can change this. So if you want the first one to be on click, we can make the second one be, start after the previous. And then we go to timing and you can put a delay on there for maybe a second, right? So then I won't have to click, but a second after that one appears, the second one will appear. And I'll show you what that actually looks like in a second. So I'm going to come down here to slideshow. So one note about this button, this one will always start from your current view. There is a way to start it from the beginning that I'll go over in a second, but this button down here on the bottom right will always start it from your current view. Okay, so what will we cover? So we're going to click once, the neck and back will show up. And if you notice that, about a second later, the skin popped up. And then I can click again. And since we had that order set, our foot came up. And then I'll click again and skull comes up. All right, so if we want, though, we can style this a little bit differently. And let's do foot as an exit, right? So we'll just do that. And then we'll make skin as an emphasis. So it can pulse, and we'll just show the difference between all those. So now we have skin and foot because they're not entrance effects anymore. I click, neck and back will come up. There was that delay, and then skin did its emphasis. Foot will disappear, and then skull will pop up. Right. So again, there's just a lot of different variations, a lot of different combinations you can do with animations. Another basic thing with PowerPoint, obviously, is transitions between slides. So what I mean by that, if we're on this slide and I click, every time it goes to a new slide, that's one transition, right? So right now there's not really any transitions set. So they just go straight to the next slide, right? But you can get a little more in depth with this if you want. So clicking on this first slide, if we come up here to the ribbon again and click on transitions, we could add something like a fade. So I'll go to the big screen here. So when I go to the next slide and click, it has, oops, I get to that one. Let's click on this one. Let's do wipe here. Okay, so let's go and I'll click, and then we saw that wipe effect go across, right? So there's again a ton of different transitions that you can actually do. Um, more some subtle, exciting, or dynamic, but there's also some really cool tricks that you can do with something like morph, right? So coming down here, we see these two slides. They have similar elements. So we have a small picture, big circle, all that kind of stuff, and then the picture gets much bigger here with the wording. So if we apply morph to this, which it looks like I already did on this one. Yeah, so morph is on this one. And we start this presentation. As soon as I click, it actually gives that really nice effect of the whole slide changing position, right? So if you have similar elements on the slides, you can get this to do a lot of cool things. You can make it have like a wheel effect where slices of the wheel come out and you talk about new points. There's just a ton of different options with that. So this morph effect is very, very powerful for making it very dynamic and engaging, I think. And one quick note about styling, I'm not going to get too much into that. Shapes are very important, and you can always go into insert and add these shapes, right? So putting basic boxes around your text, things like that will make it pop and make the eye kind of look at it. Um, Adding shapes and actually going outside of the slide, right? So if we look at it like this, that really adds some depth and perspective to it, and it makes your slide more engaging, right? If that was a basic circle on the slide, like the next one, it just doesn't look as good for some reason as catching this with your eye. So that's just a
Kyle,
quick.
quick question.
Yeah.
So on that morphing thing, did
Mm-hmm.
you make the first and second slides and then morph
Yeah.
just does that from one to the other, or did it create the second slide?
I created both of them. Yeah, with like I said, with just similar elements, and then the morph, it just recognizes that those are similar elements, and it
Oh,
tries
gotcha.
to
Okay,
make that
thanks.
animation happen. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, good question. Yeah. Okay, so how much time do I have? 7 minutes. All right, so let's go into very quickly the slideshow up here on the ribbon, the slideshow tab up here. So we have these options to start from the beginning. So of course, if I click on that, we'll start from the very beginning slide. But if I'm click down here and I click from current slide, of course, we'll start from that current slide. And if we come over here, we can actually record it, right? You can set yourself up, you can narrate, go through all your timings, all that kind of stuff, and actually record yourself very quickly here. Coming over here, this monitor section can be very, very important. So there's a thing called presenter view that we'll look real fast at. And basically it gives some options. If I can switch it. Okay, hopefully you can see this. I think it should be displaying right now. So this is presenter view, and if you have notes, right, on any of the slides, which we do here, this is a note, they'll display here. This preview pane will either show you the next animation on a slide or the next slide. Kind of depends on what's happening with your slides. And then there's also a lot of special things, right? So we can draw very quickly on these to highlight things. You can turn your screen black, right? If you want to switch something you don't want your audience to see. Just a lot of cool little tools here, extra tools. So if you have dual monitors, you can have this on your right monitor to be displaying the notes and talking about it, that type of stuff. And if you ever accidentally are showing this screen, right? If you come up here to this display settings, you can hit swap presenter view and slideshow, right? I know this happens sometimes where it goes on the wrong screen and you may not know exactly what to do, right? You can also end the slideshow, but if you go up here to display settings and click this swap presenter view, it'll take you out of that, right? So then we're gonna hit escape here. keep that. But again, up here, you can use presenter view, you can uncheck it so you just don't have to deal with that either. That's always an option. And then if you want, it'll try to automatically detect your primary monitor, but if you know which monitor you want the slide or the presenter view to be on, um, you can choose it here too. So that's always an option there. Okay, I want to get to this real quick. So one cool trick too, just to make your PowerPoint a little more engaging here, we'll delete that. We're gonna go to this view tab, go to slide sorter. So that skeleton that I first put in there, we're gonna put all the way back up here to the front, and we're gonna go back to normal view here. So there's a thing called sections in, well, a lot of Office products, but in PowerPoint that I don't see get used too often here, but it's really, really neat. So we can right click over here and you see add a section there, and then we'll give it a name. So we'll do anatomy. If we scroll down, we're gonna make a few more. So we'll do skin for this one. And I'll explain this too more in just a second here. So we'll add one more here for skull and one more down here for foot. Okay, so say you have all these different, well, in this case, body parts, or if you have multiple sections of a PowerPoint, that type of thing, you can break them up into these groups. And then for one, if you look at the slide sorter now, it looks a little bit different. So it actually has everything grouped in different sections, so you can kind of visualize it a little bit easier too. But what you can do, coming back up here to the slide, if we go into Insert tab up here on the ribbon, and then come over here to this Zoom button, we'll click on that, and then we want a section zoom, all right? And then we can choose the different sections that we want to talk about and hit Insert. And then they'll give us these little preview windows, right? So we can drag these wherever we want them. Put it there, and then we'll put anatomy up there. And I'm going to change the format of the slide real quick so it's blank, so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so we have these set up. We're going to go into our slideshow. And what you can do, so again, if you're talking to students maybe or whatever audience, and your PowerPoint, you don't want to go, 1 to 50, right down the middle. If you break it up into sections, so it's more dynamic as you're speaking, like maybe they want to learn about skin real quick, or you have something to say about the skin, you can click on this and it'll go to that part of your presentation. And when you get through the slides in that section, it'll default back. And then you can come up here and say they want to talk about the skull next. We'll go through the skull and it comes back. So it just, again, it makes it very dynamic. For you, it kind of breaks up the monotony of a normal presentation. You can go through pretty much everything like that. Okay. I think I am pretty much at my time now. Hopefully there was some tidbits of information that you might not have known that you can take with you on this. And I want to say, first of all, thank you everyone for being with me. And we have another presentation next week on health literacy and social construction. Can't remember exactly who the presenter is. I think Karen is going to put all that in the chat though. So really encourage you to sign up for that. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, again, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, Dr. Farr.